Hi, and welcome to another edition of Testudo Times After the Buzzer. I'm Alex Kirshner. This is Matt Allentuck. Maryland here at Xfinity Center today beats Maryland Eastern Shore 77-56. Melo Trimble has 18 points on, I think, 6 shots on 4-4 from three-point shooting. So the Melo Trimble not shooting threes very well train has kind of left the station at this point, I think.
His numbers come down tonight.
Yeah, and a slow start, but Maryland comes back and looks pretty good in the second half and winning the game, yeah?
Yeah, I agree. At the beginning, it looked a little bit like the Rider game from a few weeks ago, where it was close, but everyone kind of knew Maryland would pull away. But the second half was definitely more telling of where this Maryland team is at now. Turgeon jumped out with a 1-3-1 zone that kind of kicked off things in the second half, got everyone going. Rashid got Melo in rhythm in the second half. He had back-to-back threes, and there was confidence all around.
Yeah, and Rasheed Suleiman puts up 10 assists today, which is more than he's ever had in any game in a 4-year college career. I think it's interesting, Suleiman, sort of like Melo Trimble in a way, can wear a different hat depending on the day, and he can transition between them pretty seamlessly. Shots weren't falling for him today. I think he only wound up with 4 points. Is that correct?
I think he went 1 of 5.
Yeah, 1 of 5 from the field. So pretty ineffective offensively, at least from a shooting standpoint. But he not only does he have 10 assists, but these were dimes. I mean, he was absolutely setting up layups for the rest of his team.
Oh, absolutely. And Rashid talked about it a little bit post-game, too, about how him and Melo have finally started to click offensively. He couldn't pinpoint an exact date, but said that North Carolina loss was definitely a defining point in their on-court relationship. They're starting to figure each other out. Melo was the scorer tonight, and Rashid was more of the passing guy. And it seems that this best backcourt in the nation is finally coming to life.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it can work like this, particularly if Rasheed Suleiman can pick up offensively, scoring his own baskets instead of setting up others, I think this could be the best backcourt in the country. I mean, I don't know that, with the exception of the obvious Chris Dunn point, I don't know that there's a better point guard right now than Melo Trimble. 3 points per shot today for Melo. Takes 6 shots from the field and gets 18 points. Almost impossible to do that in college basketball. I guess the way you do it is by getting to the foul line and never missing once you're there. One more point that I thought was pretty interesting about Melo Trimble's day today, the way that Eastern Shore sort of played him a little bit differently. You've seen teams before, as you've pointed out in film reviews that you've done, pressure Melo Trimble as soon as he crosses half court, and sort of force the ball out of his hands. Don't let him really dictate the way the offense is going to flow. Eastern Shore didn't do that, maybe because there's nobody there who's going to be able to deal with him one-on-one. Exactly. But Melo kind of carved him up.
Even so, Rashid turned into the guy that Melo really needed, really used to at least have to be. Last year, Melo was more looked at as the guy that needs to make the plays in transition, needs to make the cuts inside, to kick outside. But Rashid really picked up for him, and just containing the two of them is going to be so difficult. And even when they do, you still have big nights from Diamond Toe as well, who also played well. So having that inside-outside threat is going to be absolutely huge. Rashid talked about that too, how it's going to be really hard to defend them in general because they're not defined by one thing. They're not just a really good backcourt. They also have a good interior. They're not just a three-point shooting team. They can also convert from inside. Robert Carter didn't even play that great of a game tonight, and he was another presence that Maryland had if they needed to go there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. They have the inside threats, they have the outside threats. Jake Layman is not playing well right now. He's had a tough run of games. You would imagine that at some point he'll get going as well and give sort of that swingman intermediate threat that Maryland lacks when he's not on. You think he'll get on, and at that point things should come around. But in any event, Maryland is 9-1 on the season. It wasn't entirely pretty, but at the end of the day, they don't ask how, they ask how many. Maryland has 9 wins and what should be a couple of pretty straightforward non-conference games, and then pretty easy opener with Penn State, and a week off.
Princeton.
So we won't see you again for another week.
Yep, that's it.
But thanks so much for watching, reading, and have a great night.
Absolutely, thanks.